The police has acted totally without jurisdiction and in total disregard of the law. Calling a journalist, or for that matter anyone, in police station for days together and making him sit there for hours together is unknown to law. The police has no power to call a person like this, nor can, as I find in the newspaper report, can he be asked to furnish a bond to the effect that he will keep peace and public tranquility.
So this is a complete violation of the law of the land.
Total violation. As I said, this is a direct attack on our freedom. Freedom to express ourselves and an attack on our personal liberty. And then it is not only curbing journalistic freedom, it is an attack on democracy itself, because freedom of press is the fourth pillar of our democracy. And if there is an attack on freedom of press, there is an attack on democracy itself.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. It's now been established that the Jammu and Kashmir Cyber Police have started summoning journalists, detaining them for hours on end, and requiring them to sign a bond promising not to do anything to disturb the peace. Is this how journalists should be treated in the world's largest democracy, which also claims to be the mother of democracy? Or is it an attempt to intimidate, curb journalistic freedoms, and effectively censor legitimate news? Those are the key issues I shall discuss today with the former judge of the Delhi High Court, Justice Rekha Sharma. Justice Sharma, the Indian Express has reported that its assistant editor and correspondent in Kashmir, Bashaarat Masood, was summoned on 4 days between January the 15th and January the 19th to the cyber police station in Srinagar and asked to sign a bond that he would not do anything to disturb the peace. So let me start by asking, how do you respond to this news? Is this how journalists should be treated in the world's largest democracy, which in fact boasts that it's the mother of democracy?
Mr. Thapar, if the news as reported in the Indian Express is correct, then I find it very disquieting and distressing too. The police has acted totally without jurisdiction and in total disregard of the law. Calling a journalist, or for that matter anyone, in police station for days together and making him sit there for hours together is unknown to law. The police has no power to call a person like this, nor can, as I find in the newspaper report, can he be asked to furnish a bond to the effect that he will keep peace and public tranquility.
So this is a complete violation of the law of the land.
Total violation, and I'll tell you how. If anybody has any authority to call upon a person to furnish a security, or then it is only the executive magistrate. And for that matter, even the executive magistrate power are circumscribed by law. And what is that law? It is laid down in section 126 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhiti. Section 126 of under which the police seems to have acted does not make any reference to the police at all. It only talks of the executive magistrate. Yes.
To be accurate, the Express does report that on the second or third day, Bashaarat Masood was taken to a magistrate who asked him to sign a bond. Bashaarat Masood apparently told the magistrate he saw no reason why he should. He didn't know what mistake he's alleged to have made. And the question arises, is this power under section 126 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita being misused to curb journalistic freedoms and to effectively censor legitimate news? Is that what's happening?
No, if as I read the news, I believe it is first the police which had called upon this journalist to furnish a bond, and it is only because I believe he has been going there for 2-3 days, and then he was ultimately produced before a magistrate. And when he told the magistrate that he does not know what he is being asked to furnish the bond for, then the magistrate seems to have taken no action against him, and he was sent back and taken back to the police station.
But is the police misusing the powers under section 126 to curb journalistic freedom and to effectively censor legitimate news?
Certainly, by all means. Why? Where is the power with the police? Section 126, if you will look into it, it does not talk of any power, any such power with the police. If at all there is any power to ask a person to furnish a bond, it is only with the executive magistrate. And mind you, even the executive magistrate cannot straight away ask a person to furnish a bond. He has to have some credible information from a person or a police or some other source on which basis he has to act.
And that was missing in this case.
We do not know. I find that there was no such information with the executive magistrate. And also, Mr. Thapar, even if the executive magistrate has the information with him, then also he cannot straight away ask the concerned person to furnish a bond. He has to issue a show cause notice to him, calling upon him to show cause why such a bond should not be asked from him. And that person, on appearing before the magistrate, has a right to defend himself, question the information which the magistrate has with him, and even question the evidence which is supposedly against him.
Now, according to the Indian Express, Bashaarat Masood was not told why he was asked to sign the bond, although anonymously, an officer has told the paper it's connected to the fact that Bashaarat Masood did a report about how the police were distributing documents requiring all mosques in the Kashmir Valley to provide details about their budget, about sources of funding, about personal details of people connected to the mosque, such as passports, credit cards, and bank details. Now, Masood's report was clearly and undoubtedly a legitimate journalistic story. So how can it deemed to constitute a breach of the peace?
No, it cannot be. It cannot be. And in fact, if this is correct, that I believe I also read in the newspaper that mosques were asked to furnish all that information. There cannot be an omnibus order to ask these mosques to furnish all kinds of information. One can understand if there is any particular information with the police that any such wrong activity is going on in the mosque, then certainly such information can be asked for. But to pass an omnibus order asking all mosques to furnish the information is totally illegal. And yes.
And once such an order has been passed, it's legitimate for a journalist to do a story reporting it.
Why not? Why not? Why are the authorities shying away from what the order that they have passed? If such an order has been passed, let it come in the public domain. What is wrong in it?
Now, the Express reports that Bashaarat Masood had to spend a total of 15 hours over 4 days with the cyber police in Srinagar. The paper adds, and I'm quoting, the police did not specify the reason for calling him to the station and making him sit there for hours. Doesn't this sound like pure and simple harassment?
I said so in the beginning itself, Mr. Thabit, that this is totally illegal. It is harassment to the highest order. There is no authority with the police. They could not, at the first place, have summoned him. But they are repeating it, calling him again and again, making him sit for hours, and then finally producing him before a magistrate. One does not know whether there was any information with the magistrate at all.
Now, further to the Indian Express report, The Wire has reported that apparently two other newspaper reporters have also been summoned by the Srinagar police. One of them is Ashik Hussain of the Hindustan Times. The Hindustan Times itself has confirmed that. Do you get the impression that this is becoming a regular practice of the Kashmir police? That whenever they find journalists do stories which the government doesn't like, those journalists are summoned and asked to sign a bond?
Yes, it appears to be so. This seems to be an attempt to curb journalistic freedom. And if that is being done, then it is not only curbing journalistic freedom, it is an attack on democracy itself. Because freedom of press is the fourth pillar of our democracy. And if there is an attack on freedom of press, there is an attack on democracy itself. So there is, if these information which have been received by the newspapers is correct, then certainly it is a matter of grave concern.
So, Indian democracy, which we cherish and love, is under threat.
Of course it is. With these kind of news, it is.
Let me quote what The Wire has reported. Journalists in the valley, i.e., those associated with both national and local publications as well as freelancers, have reported being called in for questioning by the police and security agencies over routine reporting, social media posts, and interactions. In other words, routine reports have required journalists to be called in, and they've been asked about their sources and they've been asked about editorial decisions. And those journalists have said to The Wire that they are fearful of reprisals, legal entanglements, or further harassment. Tell me, is there any law in India that justifies this sort of treatment of journalists?
No, certainly not. Certainly not. It is in violation of Article 19 of the Constitution, and it is also in violation of Article 21 of the Constitution. In Article 19, because it is restricting their freedom to express themselves through journalistic means, and Article 21, because they are being routinely called to the police station and being made to sit there, and for no rhyme or reason, without informing them at what is it that they hold against them.
Let me ask you this, Justice Sharma. India is a country where we have multiple examples of the law being breached, often by the police, often by authorities who should be observant of the law rather than breaching the law. How serious a breach is this?
This is extremely distressing, and it should be. I do not know. The only recourse that the individuals have, that they should approach the courts. But by the time they approach the court, damage is already done. They go through all the detention orders and curbs on their freedom to express themselves. So by then it is rather too late. The suffering they have already gone through.
An unnamed freelance journalist has told The Wire, and I'm quoting, These days, I have to think 10 times before I submit any story to my editor. Sometimes I request them to keep it anonymous. Doesn't that suggest that journalists are already intimidated, that they are already apprehensive, perhaps even scared and fearful, and therefore they are not doing stories because they don't know what the repercussion on them personally will be?
Yes, if this is what is going on, certainly they will think twice before getting their name published for the story. Who would stick their neck out if they know that the news that they have brought out is going to affect them personally? If they have to undergo hours of detention in police stations, and then certainly they would not like their names to come out. They would rather have it wrapped in secrecy.
And this will have a serious adverse and deleterious impact on the information available to the Indian people, and an uninformed public cannot function democratically. So it has a serious impact on our democracy as well.
I think it is already happening. It will have a more serious impact, of course, but it is already happening. The news which are being published, most of them are filtered news, or those who are supposed to be carrying the news to us or to the public at large. I don't think they are free to publish whatever is the truth. Sometimes we find that news, because now that there are other media of news also, then we do get some news from here and there. But the whole story, the whole truth is probably hidden.
So already the Indian people are not being told the full story and the full truth.
That's how I feel.
Finally, what does all of this tell us about the nature of the administration in Kashmir? And what does it tell us about the nature and character of the police in Kashmir?
Mr. Thapar, I don't want to paint everybody black, but whatever has been reported and whatever we hear from here and there, then it is a sad story. It is a sad story, and it needs really, we all need to reflect on it. What is going on?
This is a story that would make the founding fathers of the country troubled, sad, and very embarrassed.
No, this is as I said, this is a direct attack on our freedom. Freedom to express ourselves and an attack on our personal liberty. But the founding fathers did not envisage such a situation. We wanted, and this is what our constitution also lays down, we wanted an India which is free from all kinds of fears. Remember Tagore, who said, where the mind is without fear.
And the head is held high.
The head is held high.
Into that heaven of freedom, O Father, let my country awake.
That's right. But where is that freedom now?
Justice Sharma, I thank you for the time you give me. I'm going to repeat some of the words you said. What is happening to journalists in Kashmir is a direct attack on our freedom, an attack on our personal liberty. Earlier, you said this was an attack on India's cherished and beloved democracy. Our democracy is under threat. I thank you for having spoken out. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Thapar. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.